Hello, I am making this video for the couples I work with. I often give you homework and I often like you to look at ways couples relate to illustrate the work we're doing and where it is that we are going. So today I would like to propose to you quite a bit of a task. I would like to propose to you to watch a 4.5 hour podcast because it is one of the most intense and clear ways of what not to do in a relationship. The podcast that I want you to watch is a very recent one, is a debate between the archaeologist Flint and the curious person, researcher, Graham Hancock. I am not a fan of either one. Flint, I just met him. I have very little to no information about the work that Graham Hancock has been doing. My wife has invited me on several occasions to check out a show he has on Netflix. She described it to me before I knew anything about who he was, and it did not appeal to me. I have my own podcast that I watch, and I devote quite a number of hours to educate myself on psychology, psychotherapy. So that's what I watch. And I came across this podcast because of all the chatter online, and it intrigued me because it's a debate. And boy, am I glad that I did watch it. So, first of all, I would like to express my surprise at the incredible skills, couples therapy skills that Joe Rogan demonstrated. Joe, if you've ever been thinking about a career as a therapist, I think you've got the chops. So this was a very tense debate. I looked it up out of curiosity and is probably the third longest podcast or the second that Joe Rogan has ever made. I believe it's normal for that podcast to run over 3 hours, but 4.5 hours is kind of up there. So, and when I watched it, I was struck by his skills, how he did it in a participatory way, which is the way we are supposed to participate when we're mediating the conversation between two partners. Is a participatory means that you're just not neutral. Like, for example, I will not tolerate any abuse in a session. There is boundaries to this, and I will join in with a partner saying, to highlight that something is blatantly true, obvious, or to say, but this person is asking you this. So you're a moderator, you're trying to keep the peace and facilitate a dialogue, but you're participating in it. And Joe did an incredible job at that. So the first thing. The second, this podcast is fundamental too, and that's what attracted me as well, because it raises a very important issue for our time. Who is allowed to speak up? Can someone from outside the institution speak up? Can someone make a valid point and be heard from outside the institution? In this case, the institution is the institution of archaeology. They have several organizations, the European this, the American that, that's the institution, the peer-reviewed journals, and so on. So the institution, I take it, I got appraised about this during their debate, has for years treated this guy Graham as a dilettante, as a charlatan, and you have no right to speak up. So the fact that someone from the institution took him up and say, come here, I'll school you. Because I mean, the institution is arrogant. And that arrogant attitude came out in spades from Flint. It was really well done. What took place was reminiscent to me of what happened between Rocky and Apollo Reed. Apollo, somehow, a true and true champion, was caught himself in a situation where he had to give a fight, 2 fights actually, to Rocky, an absolute nobody in boxing. And it also reminded me of what happened in another movie, which is Real Steel, a movie we love in my family, and what happens between Zeus, the robot champion, the champion robot, and Adam, the nobody robot. The similarities are quite astonishing in the way in which both Zeus and Apollo walked into the fight. At the beginning, and this is, you can see this in the podcast, at the beginning, Flint says, let me do a presentation. And there goes Flint like Apollo. Apollo, his entrance is incredible. Zeus's entrance is incredible. Oh, and Flint's entrance was quite powerful too. I compare it to, Apollo showing his boxing skills, his movement, his body, his built like a god, and not the case of Flint. And the way that Zeus walks in, there's fire coming up, and he goes like this. It's all this, demonstration of power. Well, you see that in Flint. He walks in and he says, like a peacock, like an institutional peacock. He says, look at my beautiful feathers. Look at this feather there. You see that feather there? That's research. That's big data. That's how we collect information. Look at these replicas of axes. Look at what we have. Really, truly impressive. I mean, Flint goes on to give an absolutely incredibly beautiful discussion of how they can tell how a seed is a tamed seed or a wild seed. It's incredible. The knowledge, the know-how is just like the champion, the true champion, that is, they are going to pummel this nobody who has dared to challenge the institution. So that's quite remarkable. It sets up this David versus Goliath, this underdog versus champion narrative, which makes the podcast quite, a draw into it. Well, this has a lot to do with couples therapy. Often this is a prototypical type of relationship. So you're going to see one of the partners is going to walk in and they're articulate, they are very smart, they have made notes of when the fights happened, what was said, they have text messages to show, they come really prepared, and the other one is kind of disorganized. The other one is like, the only thing I'm going by is a discomfort, I'm unhappy, I think you're disconnecting from me, I think you may be cheating on me, I think there could be some issue with your mental health. That's all I have. I cannot debate with you at that level. So you see one partner really, really trying to dismiss what the other partner is saying, really hard trying to dismiss it. And I am in the middle there, trying to let that voice, that little voice, speak up. That's why it's so important to me who is allowed to speak up. Is it only those who are articulate, those who can show data, or can anybody make a case if we give them an opportunity? And that's what we do in therapy. Therapy is a place where we create a dialogue with all what that implies. So to get into how this applies to couples even more, let me tell you the 3 elements that are in this podcast that you can see in a couple during a session. Particularly at the beginning, when the couple comes and say, we're here, we need to do something about this, and one of them is saying, my partner is dismissing me, and the other one is saying, my partner is crazy, basically. So, number 1, no goodwill. The couple comes that way, there's no goodwill. There is, by goodwill, I mean the intention is not, let's find a way forward. No, is either my will or your will. It's either my truth or your truth. And that's what happens in this podcast. Number 2, if you speak to the enemy, if you speak to an enemy, don't be surprised if your partner responds to you like the enemy would. So in the podcast and in a relationship, the 2 partners engage in this dynamic where there's put downs, there's chuckling, there's laughter, there's undermining, there's trying to make you look bad in front of the therapist, of the moderator. All of that is happening there. And the most important aspect is double downs, what I call double downs. So what happens is that the whole session and the whole 4.5 hours of debate were simply a double down and double down of a double down, something that could have been said, I kid you not, in half an hour. I'll give you an hour, I'll be generous, I'll give you 15 minutes, like a session. Basically, the gist of the question is the same. Flint saying, A, look at how beautiful, gorgeous, powerful we are. Second, we have a way of going, which is a professional way that you, simple mortal, have no idea how we operate in science. And therefore, I am going to dismiss what you're saying. And Graham, the underdog, the partner who's not articulate or as articulate, trying to say, but there is an issue here, but there is an issue here, but there is an issue here, but there is an issue here. At the end of the day, it could have been simply said, hey, from Graham's position, we do not think that what you're claiming is relevant to us. I hear you, I see this, you're very certain of that. We don't think so. We see what you have to say based on what we have. We don't see it. And Graham simply saying, okay, I get I'm not as sophisticated as you are in terms of data collection and research, but I think you should listen to what I'm saying. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. There could be something there. And a way forward, of course, would be to consider whether, is enough to dismiss Graham or whether Graham must be debunked. Can you afford dismissal when debunking is necessary? Tell you, for example, in a couple could come and say, you, my partner, are my concern. I'm very, very worried that you're suffering from some mental health issue. I see you drinking more. I see you flying off the handle. I see you having nightmares. You didn't have that before. The other day, you almost hit me in the face. I see you reacting to people in the street in ways that I don't recognize. You almost had a fight with someone the other day. I see you crying out of nowhere. And the partner saying, Well, it's because of this and that. Well, it's because of this and that. It's because of that. No, 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 no. Look, I'm going to the gym. Look, I'm socializing with my friends. Look, I'm going to see my family. Look, I'm planning a vacation. Look at everything I'm doing. Look at how well I'm doing at work. Look at the accolades. I got this bonus. I'm killing it at work. Look at how happy people are with me at work. Look at what I'm doing. And the partner's saying, I still think there's an issue. So can you afford to dismiss your partner when debunking is necessary? Well, go see a professional. Come to see me. I'll assess you. I'll tell you if I find you that you're suffering from something. I'll do that. And if I don't find anything, I will say, you can tell your partner, you're good. But maybe you're suffering from something. Maybe there is something there where Grant is pointing the finger. Can you really say, because we're so powerful, so gorgeous, so beautiful, so prepared, we have these methodologies of research, and look at many ships, sunk ships we have looked at, and look at all the sites, and look, is that enough? Is the question. For you to decide. But that will be the gist of the argument, and doubling down in how beautiful you are, and doubling down, like look at how my question, how important it is. Look, you cried the other day, you did this. It leads into this doubling down. It's repetitive and repetitive, and that exactly happens in a couple. And I tell you something. I tell my couples this: a fight, not a debate, not a discussion, a fight. And I define a fight as when someone is trying to win, when there's no goodwill, when we are not here to find a way forward together. That's a fight. Even if you're not calling each other name, which actually they did in the podcast, here and there. It's a fight. A fight, I tell my couples, is never, ever, under no circumstance, a good idea. Because a fight is only going to end when, hey, it's 4.5 hours, and we could continue for another X amount of time. Hey, the session is over. We're exhausted. A lot of fights in couples end because we're just too darn exhausted. And we have not found a solution at all. Why? Well, you were not looking for a solution at all. Right? So these two people in this podcast who love archaeology, who love all these topics, are so important, and just put it on the map for everybody to see. There was never an intention of finding a way forward. There was a lot of dismissal. I would like to do a deep dive. I mean, I have notes in terms of how the typical things a couple will do, is shown in this debate, in this couple of sorts. But at the end of the day, it's just that no goodwill, speaking to the enemy, and double downs, and no solution is attempted ever. Here's a solution. I thought, I was watching this and said, here's a solution. Why not go and check, say, okay, if you have raised enough curiosity, Graham Hancock, if you have raised enough curiosity to have me here, to have the institution here, give you the time of the day, okay, let's take that a step forward. How about you pick the site you think is the one that most powerfully supports your idea? We will go there with you and we'll check it out. We will debunk you. We're certain that we will debunk you. How about that? How about in the time of GoFundMe, you can go fund whatever you want. My understanding, I don't know this for real, but my understanding is that Graham Hancock has lots of followers, lots of people who, believe in his theories. Well, how about someone creates a GoFundMe and asks the powers that be within archaeology and say, are you for hire? Can we hire you? Can you name your price? Can you name your price to take an expedition, a research group, reasonably big and reasonably small, with Graham Hancock? Go there, tell us the price, and we will fund it. We will put money like like we would do for any project, so that you can do and check it out. That's a solution. Is there a reason why not to do that? Well, we'll go back to who can speak up. So can we normal folks, can we determine that? Can we hire you and say, I will pay you so that you go there and check it out? You have a vacation on us. If that's the worst that could happen. Or no, Graham Hancock cannot speak. He's not allowed. He doesn't have a point. So you partner who is hearing the message, I am concerned about you. I want you to go and do this. You're making our life difficult. You're being too defensive. Can you afford to dismiss your partner when debunking is necessary? What do you think? What do you think of that?